What is deconstruction? In the Collins English Dictionary, the word deconstruction is explained as follows. A technique of literary analysis that regards meaning as resulting from the differences between words rather than their reference to the things they stand for. Different meanings are discovered by taking apart the structure of the language used and exposing the assumption that words have a fixed reference point beyond themselves. This definition is directly related to the concept of deconstruction as developed by the French philosopher Jacques Derrida during the 60s. Although Derrida emphatically stated that deconstruction is not a method, strictly speaking, it is generally accepted that deconstruction can be considered as a reading strategy which argues about the possibility of assigning a clear and indisputable meaning to sign or text. Demanding the reader's ability to go beyond the ordinary meaning of a text, deconstruction aims at new perspective and understandings. This textual practice is known as double reading, and it consists of two layers or motives of reading, one being the dominant interpretation of a text, the other, a sort of alternative understanding that arises by considering the hidden spots, ellipses, and contradictions in the text. This approach to reading asks for an active participation of the reader as destructive and constructive aspects are at work at the same time. This affirmative strategy of transformation makes deconstruction appealing when it comes to hard or creative tasks. Deconstruction in the Derridan sense means reading a text applying a specific strategy which allows the reader to question the essential meaning. Deconstruction makes the reader acknowledge the impossibility of achieving the universal comprehension of a text because of the substantial inconsistency between word and meaning. The meaning of a text is disassembled from the inside as deconstruction operates within the vocabulary of the text to take into question. This result is achieved by comparing different levels of significance in the textual structure. It is well known that a text can be often interpreted in many different ways. This fact depends on the presence of multiple underlying meaning layers. We are usually able to favor one meaning over another because this polarity is held in the background by the author or the reader. Deconstruction aims to question the dominance of one meaning over another and asks for the reader's awareness of this meaning authority. Here is an introduction to one of the most important topics as described by Derrida himself. In a traditional philosophical opposition, we have not a peaceful coexistence of facing terms, but a violent hierarchy. One of the terms dominates the other, occupies the commanding position. To deconstruct the opposition is above all, at a particular moment, to reverse the hierarchy. Let us linger on these oppositions as their tracking down is an essential point. According to Derrida, one of the characteristics of Western philosophy is thinking in terms of binary oppositions, polarities, dichotomies, such as meaning, form, soul, body, intuition, expression, literal, metaphorical, nature, culture, intelligible, sensible. The most interesting feature is that the negative term marks a fall and is considered a disruption, a negation of the positive term. This leads to hierarchical organization within the terms of the opposition. The positive term is given priority. The negative one acts as the necessary difference which justifies the priority given to the positive term. Derrida traced this way of thinking back to the oldest examples of Western philosophy, to the enterprise of returning strategically in idealization to an origin or to a priority seen as simple, intact, normal, pure, standard, self-identical, in order then to conceive of derivation, complication, deterioration, accident, etc. All metaphysicians have proceeded thus from Plato to Rousseau, from Descartes to Husserl. Good before evil, the positive before the negative, the pure before the impure, the simple before the complex, the essential before the accidental, the imitated before the imitation. This is not just one metaphysical gesture among others, it is the metaphysical exigency, the most constant, profound, and potent procedure. In his deconstructive readings or analysis of literary texts, Derrida questions the dominance of the positive term by reversing the hierarchy. Shifting the attention from the positive term to the negative one involves various procedures, such as revealing the hidden meanings and the counterstatements of the text, outlining the blind spots, tracing the subconscious presumptions of the author, and reading between the lines. Reversing an existing hierarchy is an essential step in every deconstructive process, but it is not enough. Replacing the positive term with a negative one means staying with the same binary logic. In order to undo an opposition, it is necessary to take into account the breach that results from the reversal. This doesn't mean introducing a third term with the aim of a dialectic synthesis. Rather, the purpose is to disassemble the rhetorical structures within the text in order to recontextualize them in another setting. In this regard, deconstruction means undoing and displacing the opposition differently, as Derrida put himself. Deconstruction does not consist of moving from one concept to another, but of reversing and displacing a conceptual order as well as the non-conceptual order with which it is articulated. For example, writing, as a classical concept, entails predicates that have been subordinated, excluded, or held in abeyance by forces and are according to necessities to be analyzed. To sum up, deconstructing an opposition does not mean to destroy it, leaving a monism according to which there is only one of the two terms of the opposition. It means to undo and displace the opposition, to situate it differently. It is possible to summarize the steps required to deconstruct an opposition as follows. A. Demonstrating the ideological imposition that lies within the binary opposition. This implies outlining its assumption and its role within metaphysical values. It also implies showing how the opposition is undone in the text that enunciate and rely on it. Then, B. One simultaneously maintains the opposition by using it in one's argument and reinstating it with a reversal that gives it a different impact. Deconstruction works both inside and outside of the terms of a system. In a certain way, deconstruction acts with the intention of having the system derail. Its aim is not to build a solid foundation for knowledge, but to denounce the dominance of certain terms and to create a space that leaves room for difference, ambiguity, and playfulness. This does not mean that deconstruction will revert to indifference. It implies that the distinction between two terms can no longer be supported by or found in the priority of one of the two. Deconstruction is not so much a nihilistic criticism than an articulation of other values.